How's it going, everybody? It's the Shirtless Chef coming at you with another episode of How Will It Cook? So, let's roll the title. So today I'm going to do a meal that I picked up from work. An Apron's meal for one, sesame chicken with broccoli and Japanese-style steakhouse sauce. It's going to take about 26 minutes to cook. Okay. So basically I'm going to heat the oven to 350. No. 375. And then I am going to remove the plastic, and set aside the sauce cup, and then bake it for 24 to 26 minutes. So we'll wait until I'll pause the video for a minute until the oven gets to temp, and I'll see you then. So all I'm going to do is cut and remove the film, peel this back, and then remove the divider inside. This was a meal I was supposed to bring you about a week or so ago. Didn't get the chance, so we're doing it now. But at this point, that's all we're going to do. And I'll be back in a little bit when we put this in the oven. See you then. So we are back, and our oven is up to temp, so we're going to put this in. I think it should go straight in there for 26 minutes. So that's how we're going to make that work. Give me another minute or two, and I'll be back. So we're back. I just had to get some things finished from the other night. Been working a good bit, so I haven't really had the time to get a lot of stuff accomplished in the house. So, for those of you that may be tuning in the first time, I want to explain why I started this series. So this series started as partially a way to draw attention to people with health issues and dietary restrictions. But there was another reason for it as well. It also comes out of the fact that, for me, I've had a hard time trying to deal with and see others with my dietary restrictions and my health problems, and trying to figure out how to navigate them. There's not a lot of resources online to find that. Or to figure out, hey, you have this kind of dietary restriction? Here, try this. And that's been a problem for a while. We got about 20 minutes left on lunch, so I can talk for a while. So living with CDH leaves you in kind of an awkward position. It means that a lot of people won't understand what you've been through. Living with a rare disorder means that a lot of people won't understand what you've been through. Because nobody sees us. A lot of us have hidden health issues. If you saw me with a shirt, you'd never realize what I look like. You'd never realize what I've been through. So it takes a toll on you to try and keep that hidden, keep it quiet and silenced. For a while, and it's not so prevalent now as it was back then, but it used to be one that if you had a health problem, you didn't speak about it. You didn't talk about it. It was your personal battle to deal with and nobody else. So you ended up being very isolated in a way that nobody can understand. Will I state that I was isolated because of my health problems? No, not really. But I've been afforded opportunities that most people haven't. So that's where the difference is. So I didn't feel isolated as a kid. I didn't really feel isolated until I was probably a teenager. And I had moved, and I was living in a different state with none of the friends that I'd had for years. So it made it hard for me to try and make friends with anyone. That stool is higher than I thought it was. So I have a stool sitting here. It's one nobody really wants to see what we go through on a daily basis. Everyone wants to kind of push everything to the back and then assume that it won't happen to them. And it bothers me. It bothers me that even though we claim to have made a lot of strides towards inclusion, and somebody's going to jump on the video and state that I'm just trying to push a narrative, or I'm just trying to be political. And that's not my goal here. My goal is to kind of point out the differences and the difficulties that I've experienced. I know some people would rather leave people with health issues as see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. And that's not how this should work. It's taken a lot of time and effort to pull birth defects, health issues where we have lung disorders, digestive issues, a lot of different things. That it's taken a while to get all these things out of the shadows. You know, even now, these things are still pushed into the shadows as, well, we can't see it, we don't live with it, so we don't necessarily need to pay attention to it. It's one, at 27, it bothers me that we're no closer to the inclusion than we were I think I misspoke there. At 27. It saddens me that in 25 years, really 27 years, we're no closer to having these things out in the open where we can sit and have an open, honest dialogue about this. We can't have an honest dialogue about birth defects. We can't have an honest dialogue about the struggles that causes, both for the survivor of it and for the families that it affects. It's scary. I thought I was growing up in a world where we could actually understand and be willing to see these things. And the more I watch what goes on in society, and I'm not discounting that we haven't made strides forward. I'm not saying that. We have. But for every step we take forward, it seems like somebody wants to push us 2 steps back. It's almost like we need to be relegated into the shadows of society. That we don't talk about that. When in reality, we should. I don't think people want to see what's really going on. I don't think people want to see the direction that we're headed. This isn't necessarily me trying to be for or against one side, because it's an issue that everyone should pay attention to and be mortified by. It should be something that should make us think about what's going on. I see people day in and day out struggle. And yet, we can't do something about it. Not from a work perspective. I mean, yes, I work retail and we deal with the general public quite a bit, but outside of our community with CDH, there's not a lot of open dialogue about birth defects. There's not a lot of open dialogue about what it's like growing up with this. There's not open dialogue about what it's like growing up with challenges that we've had to overcome just to be normal, just to be able to act and feel normal. It's honestly hard. And it's one I'm going to give a shout out to somebody, kind of intentionally and unintentionally, but a friend of mine through work. You know him as from Mikey Studios, my co-host in the Bro Show. That we get to an age where society doesn't want to see us. he's talked openly on the show about, openly to a point, about his life with CP and what he's struggled with. And it's one, he's 15 years older than me, give or take. And he's had to fight for everything he's got. He still has to fight. And that's not okay. I don't want to see for lack of a better way of explaining this, I don't want to see my kids grow up in a generation where we can't be open and honest about this, where things like this are seen as a disability. Now, I'm not saying they're not, but that doesn't mean we should be treated any differently. Does it mean we should be given, we need an occasional leg up? Yes. We're not looking for handouts. We're looking for somebody that is willing to reach out and give us an opportunity. That's all we need. But a lot of people aren't willing to give us the time of day because of what they see or what they think they see. I've been leaning against this counter for a while, but I figure you all can see. This is what my front scar tissue actually does to me. It pushes everything backwards. So it may look like I'm standing up straight, but in reality, I'm not. I realize I've ranted through most of this video about what goes on. But it's one, in reality, this is what we face every day. This is what the general public either can't see or doesn't want to see. And I'm not sure which is correct. But for the most part, you didn't come to this video to get a I don't want to say pundit view because that makes this sound political, but you didn't want a personal view on society and looking at health. But it's somewhat what you got. You also got to see how a store-bought meal will actually cook and whether it actually cooks the way it claims. So, go ahead and check this. Smells good. Still got another 5 minutes or so left. But even at that, this is not even 20 minutes. I did pause the video for a little bit while I was dealing with the dish and the sink. So there was a little bit of time cut out of this, but not much. This wasn't a real-time cooking video like I had planned, but I'm also kind of running out of things to say. I am going to get a fork so I can taste test this. And then when you see me back in a few minutes, I'll be doing another taste test. This time, some yogurt. And then next week, we're going to taste test sour cream. but this is dairy-free variants of yogurt and sour cream. But dairy-free yogurt is what we're going to taste this week. Next week, we're tasting sour cream. It's when I'm trying to do these videos basically a week in advance. And try to get all of the video, all the cooking side of stuff that I need to do done either on Saturday or Sunday. This week I didn't get a chance to do it that way. I ended up doing a how to cook, I guess Saturday for this week. Saturday? No, it's Friday. This, as I said, is how will it cook. And we're taste testing sesame chicken with broccoli and Japanese-style steakhouse sauce. I believe this is basically yum yum sauce, if you've ever heard of that. I've got a fork. I'm going to grab a knife as well, so I can cut the chicken. So, a few weeks ago, you saw me grill some steaks. I will go back to the grill, and we'll try some other street food attempts. Some other Japanese street food, but that will take a little bit. Probably sometime this week or next week, I'll do some homemade udon soup that I've made. And it's really not that expensive or that expansive. Basically, I just dump a whole bunch of stuff in a pot, cook it, and then dump my noodles in at the last minute, and you have homemade udon. And it takes 40 minutes or so. So, yeah, it takes a long time, but it's soup. It's going to take a little bit of time. But looks like our meal is almost ready, and it's time for lunch. I kind of do need an oven mitt. And half of our kitchen is roosters. So that's what the design is on the oven mitt. Well, I don't know what that was, but it set the dog off. And in case somebody is wondering, yes, the cat still exists. Come here, Sydney. Now, meow. Here's my fuzzy co-host. Now, you didn't see it all today, except for just now. Most of the time, my fuzzy co-host sits either on the table that I'm putting stuff on or lays on the counter. Or lays on the table next to me. But she didn't necessarily end up on camera this time. But now that you've seen the cat, I'm going to pull our chicken out. And the real answer, how does it taste? This looks so good. I have no feeling in my hand, so for those of you cringing at me picking up an aluminum foil tray, this is our meal. So that is lunch today. Grab our knife and fork and begin. See how our chicken tastes. That's really good. I've got some broccoli and some sauce in here as well. That's really good. So, for the Shirtless Chef, this has been How Will It Cook? With Apron's ready to cook meal for one, sesame chicken. Have a great day, and see you next time.